It's less than 20 square miles in size. Barely 10,000 years old. By geological standards, immature. Constantly changing, finding its place in the world as a coastal barrier island. It is called Kiawah. Kiawah Island. Thousands of species of wild things make their home on Kiawah Island. More than 1,000 residents and several thousand annual guests revel in the relaxed lifestyle. World-class resort amenities, the superb natural diversity and beauty. During the 1970s, development construction along the Atlantic coast was booming. Millions surged to the shore to escape the city and to relax in the temperate climate. In many coastal areas, buildings went up so quickly and densely, it was difficult to recognize the communities from one season to the next. But Kiawah took a different path. It was here, at this time, that Kiawah became a leader among coastal development properties. A pioneering environmental study was commissioned. Clearly ahead of its time, Kiawah's development master plan set the standard for those who, today, recognize the enormous value of building with balance, allowing the natural landscape, wildlife, and people to coexist for the benefit of all. Among those far-sighted individuals who have shaped Kiawah is Mark Permar. Mark has been involved in Kiawah's planning and development from the very beginning, and his renowned photography reflects a profound sensitivity to the island's natural beauty.
What's really interesting about where we are right now is that it's really a recall of the founding principles of the creation of what we now know as Kiawah Island in the early and mid-1970s. And at that time, the vision was to really create a community that was in proper balance between the natural environment and the intervention of man. That is the idea of homes that kind of nestle into the woods, almost like they were dropped by a helicopter right into the site. Those principles of a balance of an act between the natural environment and the man-made environment, although sound pretty simple, are very difficult to pull off. And the work of those that were involved in the early years, in the 1970s, was really a great running start and evolution of where we are right now.
This is the legacy of Kiawah. It is now our charge to preserve the delicate balance so that it may be a healthy, productive home for native plants, animals, and our future generations. From her pristine beaches and dunes, to her miles of lush wetlands, to her majestic maritime forests, Kiawah is a thriving, balanced ecosystem that depends upon all her attributes for survival. Take away any one of them, and the island's stability is threatened. The ecological balance would be changed forever. Before long, Kiawah would be just one more coastal community sprawling across asphalt to sandbars and mudflats. Fortunately, Kiawah is still alive, and for the most part, well. The question is, will it remain so? Can we continue the legacy? The answer is, it's up to us, each one of us. Our residents are joining together as never before to respect and protect Kiawah's natural splendor. We know that much of what makes this island unique is surrounding our homes with the very natural beauty that drew us here. Lose this, lot by lot, and the Kiawah Island that we know and love will soon be gone. Look around, the canopy overhead, the thick, beautiful understory, and the colorful ground cover. They all contribute to our unique barrier island habitat, and they're ideal for a wonderful variety of intriguing plants and animals, not to mention residents. Dave and Sally Elliott built their home on Kiawah in 1994.
Sally and I moved to Kiawah about 5 years ago, shortly after I thought I'd retired. We'd been up and down the coast looking at every grain of sand from the Outer Banks to the Florida Keys, but we really fell in love with Kiawah. Shortly after we came here, I realized what makes Kiawah so great. It was not something that I understood on arrival. And a conversation a year or so afterwards with island naturalist Bob Cogill led to a study as to what could be done to save the native plants and wildlife that we have here at Kiawah. And in turn, this led to the creation of the Kiawah Island Natural Habitat Conservancy. We're delighted by how well supported it's been on the island. The challenge that we all face is to understand the fundamentals of what makes Kiawah such an incredible place. The solution is in how we manage our own property to ensure that we do things that maintain the future of the tree canopy, that maintain habitat for wildlife so we still have these wonderful birds to visit us in our own yards and are able to explore the island with great pleasure every time we leave our front door.
So as development continues across the island, it becomes increasingly urgent that every resident understands this most basic principle. Each time, literally each time, a tree is removed, or a property bush-hogged, or a vine uprooted, the ecology of Kiawah is altered. Understanding that subtle balance between every home and the nature surrounding it is what the Kiawah Island Natural Habitat Conservancy is all about. The very fate of Kiawah hangs on the building and landscaping decisions we all make. Bob Cogill has lived on Kiawah for more than 20 years. He's chronicled just about every species, natural feature, and event there is here.
Red-winged blackbirds particularly feed on that. I see that they've already beat me to the seeds. The seeds are gone. The birds have already gotten the seeds.
Bob's astute observations have helped Kiawah residents understand that their home site and the nature surrounding it are one, to be enjoyed and respected together.
I had some experience and interest in nature study. I was a biochemist, so I came on to Kiawah with the firm conviction that I would get acquainted with the island and with its wildlife here. Many people that come on the island come from business areas and have never been exposed to that sort of an environment. As a result of all this information that's now available to old residents as well as the new ones that are coming on for the first time, people realize the opportunities they have to be involved in the wildlife on the island and the gratification that they will get from learning about these animals and that they share the island with.
Residents and resort guests often gain their first true insight to the fascinating native side of Kiawah by visiting the Nature Center and meeting Elizabeth King, the resort's chief naturalist.
There's a lot of research that happens on Kiawah, and that leads to a better understanding of the island, the interactions between the people and the wildlife, the interactions between the wildlife and the plants. That's very important for us to keep learning about, because then we'll know how to better live on the island, how to better landscape, and how to coexist on this island with all of the wonderful wildlife that we do have. The biggest challenge at this point is to have residents understand that they can have a tremendous impact just by the way that they landscape their own yards.
Kiawah is both a lush and a harsh environment. This rich canopy of trees provides much of the character of our landscape. It is the crucial first line of defense against pounding storms. But inevitably, these giants will fall in the face of severe weather or old age. And beneath, waiting to take their place, is the next generation of canopy, the understory. In a wonderfully synergistic arrangement, the canopy protects and nurtures the understory, while the understory provides food and shelter for our diverse wildlife community. None of the components of this natural system can survive and prosper without the other. The thickly woven vegetation holds the earth in place and sustains all of Kiawah's upland creatures. It is critical to the well-being of all who are on this island.
As more and more of us move to the coast because we really enjoy being here, the more stress we put on the system. There's only so much development these systems can take before we've kind of exceeded the ability of it to absorb us. Okay, so when when I come here and build a house, I build a house here because the maritime forest is here, and as does everyone else. Everyone comes because it's such a beautiful place, but the more there is, the less there is of why we came here.
When a healthy understory and thicket is included in a natural landscape plan, there are benefits to be enjoyed by property owners as well as wild creatures.
I can't tell anyone how thrilling it is to see a bobcat come off of your back steps and give you a little look and then turn and slowly walk away. Or come in at night and find that there are 2 or 3 deer standing on the berm in your front yard, and sometimes lying down like lambs almost. Or how thrilling it is to see the huge pileated woodpeckers in the backyard beating on one of your oak trees and getting out insects, I suppose. And I want my children, my grandchildren, and my great-grandchildren to have the same privileges and enjoyment of this wonderful natural area that we have.
When native plants are used in landscaping, homeowners are treated to some of Kiawah's most spectacular wildlife. But try growing grass here, and the scene changes dramatically. Very quickly, it's apparent that grass does not grow here naturally or easily. Harsh chemical fertilizers and weed control agents are flushed into the sandy soil. Gallons of precious water are wasted, and the island loses one more piece of natural habitat along with wildlife that use it for food and shelter. The answer for property owners? Native grasses, shrubs, and flowers. They're beautiful, plentiful, and they're nature's way of keeping the island functioning and healthy. Bluntly, in fact, if we are to sustain Kiawah's natural environment and wildlife community, these systems are nothing less than essential.
The true essence of Kiawah from its very beginning is the preservation of this natural environment. The entire master plan was about working with that natural environment and really creating a place for people to live in unison with the natural environment, a place where those natural systems were preserved. And that preservation of those natural systems comes all the way down to the smallest lots that exist on Kiawah. And each and every lot that has been created here has its own special piece of that natural environment. And there's special aspects to each of those lots. And it's really the job of the landscape architect and the architect, together with the homeowner or the future homeowner, to really unearth the true, unique characteristics of their particular lot and how those characteristics relate to the larger Kiawah landscape.
One of the benefits of natural landscaping is that when an exotic plant is introduced, it becomes even more stunning because it's an accent, not the dominant feature of the property. A well-placed container of annuals or an exotic feature plant near your home's entry can add drama or color. And because it's carefully contained, the risk of its becoming a pervasive menace like kudzu is minimized.
I had to learn when I moved here that the plants that we had in Western New York don't function here at all. They require constant fertilization, constant watering. We made a lot of mistakes, and we still haven't corrected most of them. What I've found is that every once in a while a wax myrtle or a marsh elder will just start growing in the yard, up through the ground cover. Well, it seems to grow a lot better than anything that we paid a lot of money to have installed.
There are a variety of simple things you can do to help preserve our quality of life on Kiawah.
I always urge people to not rush to judgment, which is very easy to do at Kiawah because it's so overwhelming. Recognize what grabs you on day one, set it aside, and then encourage yourself to kind of delay your understanding. Then when you start to make important decisions in your life, whether they're, again, to design and build a home or create an incredible golf course or whatever, you want to always reflect on that very first day that you were at Kiawah. But the sense of urgency to make a decision really shouldn't occur here.
Early in your process of becoming an island landowner, we invite you to visit with the Kiawah Island Natural Habitat Conservancy. The Conservancy has prepared a list of residential and landscape architects who are sensitive to the requirements of our Kiawah ecosystem and well prepared to help you protect the natural beauty of your property. After choosing your residential and landscape architects, you'll meet with Kiawah's Architectural Review Board. They'll help you identify your property's unique natural assets and suggest ways to maximize those assets while meeting Kiawah's aesthetic guidelines.
I think we have to set a tone and a style and a pace to make sure that other people who are moving here understand and protect that same value that we have come to love so dearly. We have to learn to live together and to protect the animals, the trees, the flora, the fauna as we found it. I think sometimes we think of it as paradise found. Let's make sure it's not paradise lost.
Our future is in the life all around us. And it's in what we don't see. It's in the seeds that rest in the earth and in the nest that'll hold new life. That's why we must seize every opportunity to do what is right for this island. Because what we have here can be lost or preserved in little more than a season.
Well, we all know that Kiawah is a very special place. We're also learning just how unique it is, even among barrier islands on the southeast coast. Protecting what we have here is not just protecting our financial investments, but it's protecting a way of life for ourselves and for our children's children. If we lose the wonderful things that grow here and live here, we're left with a beach, a mud flat, and some piles of sand with houses on top of it. We have the opportunity to be the guardians of the future of our island. We should grasp it with both hands.
Living on Kiawah is a rare privilege, something most people only dream about. Yet it is not for us alone. We trust that our homes, so carefully planned and elegantly made, will become more than homes. That they'll be places where future generations will make memories, find peace, and dream of their tomorrows. Our porches will share with young hearts, eager to delight in nature's wonders. And through our windows, they'll greet a thriving landscape, rich with wildlife, awash with color. We trust that someday they'll remember with gratitude the wise gifts of life that we protected in our time, for all time, and for this fragile, beautiful gift called Kiawah.
Because barrier islands are so unique and are so valuable to fish and wildlife, what you do here really establishes a precedent and a model for the whole South Atlantic coast. I would encourage you to learn more about the Conservancy, their work, their plans, and to become involved. They can help you make good decisions about your property and the future of Kiawah Island.